So if you were to ask, I mean, all my kids are grown up today, but if you were to ask them, what verse did you probably get tired of hearing your dad mention? Every one of them would say it's Proverbs 4:23. And it says, above all things, guard your heart, for out of it flow the well springs of life. And I just constantly told my kids growing up, if you do anything, make sure you have a good heart. Mm-hmm. Keep a good heart. Watch the guardrails of your heart. Be true to what you know truth is, what you know is right. And things will turn out all right.
That's the promise of that verse.
Yes. And so, what for you guys, if you think about that, what would you think some of the habits or the ways that you've lived or gotten better at that, or what you've learned, secrets to guarding your heart? What have been some of those things that you do to shape your heart?
I can remember the first time I was aware that God was speaking to me. 1974, I woke up one morning. It was like a neon sign in front of me. It said Proverbs 3:6. And I went ahead and got up and got ready and got dressed, and it wouldn't leave. And I had about as much word in me to not know whether there were 3 chapters in Proverbs. So I went and got me, I think, a Living Bible. And it said, put the Lord first place in everything you do, and he will direct your steps. Mm-hmm. And right there, in that one thing, God was giving me a plan for my life. Mm. Yes. And I lived by it. Or I learned to live by it. Yeah. I didn't start off totally practicing that.
Right.
But I learned to practice it.
Yes.
And a while ago when we were talking about what the kids remember, what most impressed them was I started getting up in the morning and having some word times. And I'd read my Bible. And that, a lot of times when the kids got up, the first thing they saw was me sitting over in my chair reading my Bible. And that set a precedent for them. And that's what they remembered.
Yeah.
But it was, I'm sure it wasn't the first time the Lord ever tried to speak to me, but it was the first time he got through.
It's the first time I really heard that. Yes. That's so good.
Yes.
I love it.
You guard your heart. I think you have to guard the narrative for the things that are happening in your world. Because much of what I've found will get my heart sideways is people stuff.
Yep.
Or the perceived mistreatment of people, immaturities, whatever brings you into conflict with people, seem to be the place that I would struggle the most with my heart. So I think controlling the narrative, like, what does this mean? Like, the first thing you want to do is attack and counterattack and, justify yourself and, go into all of that. And for our kids, for our family, we didn't always take the kids' side when they came home and tell something about the teacher or come home tell us something about the situation that happened on the playground.
Right.
Because that, it's possible that wasn't the whole way that went down, So, and you want them to not, get their heart running in a direction that is like always blaming, always, casting dispersions against this one and that one. So guarding the narrative in my mind has been a part of guarding the heart, right? Yeah. Like, what did I do in this? What's
starting there?
Start there. Yeah,
that's humility. On that, one of the things that I've tried hard to do over the years is so that I don't get bitter, because thinking about a lot of the input that comes your way, the data or the situations, it's easy to think about the negative into blame, and especially if you've been harmed or hurt. And so the practice of really believing that, regardless if you're, a follower of God or not, but to see that you've been crafted in the image of God, if you can start there, and I do, and seeing that each person has the DNA of God woven in them.
Yeah.
They could be, pretty harmful and, really off the rails. But the job that I have is to try to, if our minds naturally go towards seeing the negative in people, especially if they've harmed us, to try to first see the good.
Yeah.
And the only way I can do that is to almost like, I try to play the game, like when there's a new baby. So you see the baby for the first time with the family, and they're holding them, and maybe you get to hold them, and you're playing the look-alike game.
Right.
And you're looking like, who do they look like? And you're like, oh, he looks just like your mom. And so I try to play that game of like, what can I find in this person first that reminds me of God?
Yeah.
And it could be that they have a passion for taking care of their garden.
Yes.
A good steward.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you have to go deep.
Right. No, but wasn't that?
But maybe it's the way they treat their kids.
Yeah.
Even though they're blaming my kids for something, but
Yeah.
they're sticking up for their kids.
Yeah.
And when I can find some DNA that reminds me
I like that.
of the Creator, then it softens my heart and allows me to look at the narrative of whatever's going on differently.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good.
That's walking in forgiveness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a constant, right? Because we constantly need it.
When you say guard your heart, what is that the kind of thing you're concerned about, or is it more other kinds of behavior, or what?
Well, I think it's definitely all that. It's definitely all that. I know that one of the things kind of along with that I've tried to do, and not that I'm good at it or anything, but is trying to shape even the language of your heart. Your heart, so that, because, Jesus said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So your mouth, you'll hear people, they'll say something, or like some celebrity will say something just terrible or whatever. And then later on, after they got caught because of this terrible tweet or what they were caught on camera saying, they go, "That's not me." No, that was you. No, that was you. That was you. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't redeem that or fix that, but no, that's a good gauge. That's the barometer of what's going on, what you say. So starting to learn to listen to what you say, to what you want to say or what you're thinking about saying, and saying, what would it take to change the language that's coming out of my mouth or coming out of my head that gets that close to getting to my tongue? It's like, the way a man thinks, so is he. And out of the abundance of your heart, the mouth speaks. It's like, I have to go back and listen. And I think if we would listen to a little more to what we're thinking or what we're saying, we'd have a lot better shot at changing our heart, because that's the best barometer of it.
Yes.
Like even
It sure made me less of a talker than I was as a young man. I was in high school. I was the loudmouth.
I can't even imagine that.
And in fact, I was in my senior year when they vote most likely to succeed and this and this and this. One year I got wittiest. In the other year, I think I got most likely to succeed. But it was all because I was the talker.
Yeah. Wow.
I was the talker.
Wow.
And as I came to the Lord, the quieter I got.
Wow.
Amen.
The less words, because of that very thing. From the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And my heart was for Jesus. But I learned to be a lot quieter about other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And speak about Him.
Yeah.
And be like Him.
Well, that's amazing.
And then you start seeing these proverbs that said things like, in the multitude of words, transgression is unavoidable.
Yes.
So it's like, I remember reading that one day and thinking, this means the less I talk, the better percentage
Yes.
I have of not being a transgressor.
Exactly.
Of not hurting people or not,
Right.
you know. And
Much words.
so yeah, I mean, there's a lot, you know. And then of course the famous Proverbs: "It's better to sit in the corner and be silent and be thought to be a fool than to open your mouth and remove all that." Boy, I've lived that one out.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
What about in your family, like talking back and forth with your kids, your wife especially, you know, like what you're able to talk about and how the narrative that's going on with spouses
Yeah.
sometimes reveals what's happening in both hearts.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
It can be bad.
Well, the way that and it plays into everything, but I think the one thing I would say about guarding your heart is that the heart, it will lead to perception, but it's way deeper than perception. It's not motivated by perception. It's motivated by what is real. Like, who am I at my core? And if we could be reminded of, it's more important to truly know who we are at our core, not how we might think of ourselves or want others to think of us. That's the first step to actively and maybe effectively guarding our heart. And so the one thing, and this goes back to my teen years, and I might even get emotional, is Psalms 139, 23 and 24. And it's King James in my memory. So, search me, O Lord, and know my heart. Try me, O Lord, and know my thoughts. See if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Wow. So it's like one of the first things I pray every time is like, I want to know the real Royce. If I can bear it, show me that. And I think every time you see someone have an encounter in the ancient scriptures, they don't walk away going, "Whew, I'm better than I thought I was."
No,
You know, it's
usually
like
not
an
that
encounter with the holy leaves you quite shook to your core, and that I just saw my heart, and it's way beyond worried about perception or how I look on social or your good opinions of me. Is like, I've got work to do, and I want my core to be anchored and oriented around you. I want to read it again, but in NIV.
Sure.
Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. The stuff I'm all worried about.
Yeah.
See if there's any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting.
That's so good.
And it has, man, it even resonates telling you guys.
Oh, yes.
But it's that posture of humility and being open, which lets the guard down so that you can get to your true self.
Wow.
Which then can hopefully prepare you to have good boundaries, and to guard your heart.
Yeah.
But it's not out of holding on tight. It's letting someone in.
Isn't that kingdom
Self-awareness.
counterintuitive? Like, Joey, what you're saying so good. It's like, Jesus tells us first to be last, the last to be first. Things are, the world's upside down. And when I tell you the right side up, you're going to think it's upside down.
Right.
But to effectively guard our heart is an act of becoming unguarded before God and what's true.
Say that again.
To effectively guard our heart might be becoming unguarded in the presence of God or what is true.
Really open up.
Wow, that's good. Thank
That's
you
right.
for sharing that.
Yeah.
And I think that part of developing the relationships that we need as men is to have friendships that can really speak truth in. I mean, really, like David said, let the righteous smite me, it'll be a kindness, or faithful are the wounds of a friend.
Yes.
We need friendships like that.
Yeah.
That somebody
Speak truth.
they can speak
Yes.
truth. And so often, we have such a fragile culture now.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we don't want to damage his psyche, or we don't want to. It's like, no, look, 9 people in the room know you're being a jerk right now.
Right.
Let's let you in on the secret.
Yes.
If I love you, I will let you in on the secret. If you love me, you will let me in on the secret. We need those covenant relationships where we've got friendships like that we give each other permission. Yeah. Man, slap me around if you need to.
I had a friend, I got to tell this brief story. His name's Jason McIntosh. He pastors in Illinois. Jason, I still love you. He's going to just die that I'm telling this out here. But I came from a very conservative background. This here was sinful to have facial hair. And so he and I are after church service talking, and he's pro beard, which is so hilarious now. He was pro beard back then, and I was clean shaven, was a standard of righteousness.
Yeah.
And I was defending that. And here's the deal: you and I talked on that, and I identify with something you said the other day. Is that I basically just wore him down.
Yeah.
It wasn't that my points were better or that he was less factual. He just was
capitulated,
sick
right?
of hearing me. Yeah, I'm just done. But he invested in me. He was mad, but he didn't realize what he did is he just said, "Stop talking, Royce. You are the most arrogant person I know, to still call you a friend. It's like you think you are right about everything." And it cut to my soul.
Oh, wow.
And I had this crossroads right there. Like, how dare my friend betray me? But I couldn't because he was right. He was right.
Right.
And I'm serious. I cried my eyes out over that. He called me about 30 minutes later after he'd already gone home. He said, "Man, I'm sorry. I lost my cool." And I'm still bawling. And I said, "Don't you ever apologize over this." He said, I think you just changed the direction of my life. And I hold that moment as sacred because from there it comes back to a moment of turning point. Am I going to just try and beat people into submission about my point of view, or am I going to be cautious about how arrogant I've been about being right?
Yeah.
It's funny, I grew a beard out shortly after that. No, I do have one today. Jason, I thank you for that moment. Thank you so much.
Man,
Loving
that's
me.
powerful.
Yeah, but going back to your verse, Psalms, 130,
Yeah.
39.
Yeah.
The posture, whether you had a posture of exercising, search me, show me.
Yeah.
A friend came and searched.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
And so I think but it's not normal for people often to receive something so quickly. But I think you trained yourself to receive things. So that's encouraging.
Isn't it interesting that you love somebody enough that not only, you're trying to guard your heart, but they're trying to guard your heart
Guard
too.
your heart too. Yeah.
And is that not what's needed? And is that not what the kingdom, if we can call it, about everything, is that I'm invested in your heart, and I would be honored if you'd be invested in mine.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we're trying to do with our kids? I mean, that's it.
That is.
Man, and that it's a secure place. And I'm not, if I guard your heart or you guard mine well, let's say it like that, you're not against me, you're for me.
Yeah,
Help
absolutely.
me see how my heart is revealing itself to you.
Yeah.
Right.
And to push all that a little further out, now it was David that wrote those verses that you read. And you remember was it Uriah the Hittite that comes riding up when David was with his men, and he starts cursing David? Y'all remember this?
Yes.
I forget the text, but he's cursing David and just
Simeon.
What is
I don't know. Well, I'm going to want to say it was Uriah the Hittite.
no,
I don't know.
that was
Was it Shimei?
Shimei.
Yeah. But I know he is cursing him.
He is calling him
Uriah's
everything from a
Bathsheba's.
pot liquor.
He's of the
to
tribe
a
of Benjamin,
right.
too. Yep.
And
He's a
he is
Benjamite.
just tearing him up.
Yep.
And David's men are like,
Well, we're going to cut his head off.
we are gonna, and David goes, nope, let him keep going, because what he's saying to me, the Lord may have sent him to straighten me out.
His initial, he's open with this idea of, wait, don't shut down the critic. This could be coming from the Lord.
Yep.
Let's wait and see if it's from the Lord.
Yep.
And then just to kind of close the story off, it wasn't from the Lord.
Yeah.
And so on David's deathbed, he said, remember him. Yeah, he actually said, he kind of held on.
Yeah, he's like,
but the point is
to
that
have
that's
that
God's
heart,
justice too, is
right.
that you spoke something that was not my point of view.
Right,
And you
right.
didn't guard his heart.
But to be in that
it's
place,
open.
that restraint,
Yes.
I'm open
Yes.
to, okay, maybe God sent this guy to straighten me out. Wow, that's pretty powerful.
And
When you're the guy with all the power in the room,
yes.
that you got guys around you saying, we'll cut him down.
Explains a little why God said he's a man after my own
Yeah,
heart.
Yes.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yes.
that kind of stuff right
Yes.
there. That's integrity.
Well, just playing off of guarding and being open. I mean, part of as we were talking about, earlier about just masculinity. But one of my problems is just being able to be open to share what's really going on.
Yeah.
So that other men can lean in to help me with wherever I am. And so I think that's part of what we need to do as far as, masculinity, is be more open
Absolutely.
and open to criticism, open to feedback, and also so that I can hear from other men, what's really going on, so that the next step, I don't feel like I'm the only one going through it.
Yeah.
We were talking about oversharing. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Like at what point is oversharing? Like to his context, right?
Oversharing is when I'm not doing it because I want to learn, I want to heal, I want to grow. It's moved over into, I'm actually oversharing because I care more about trying to create a perception about me or an image about me, or I'm trying to modify your thoughts about me in some way, trying to win your approval in some way. And I want to just tag in on what you just said, is just hitting me so hard, that I think masculinity sometimes gets lost in the images of so-called masculinity.
Sure.
When really it should be about raw, rugged truth, and it can be refined, but just a sense of like, let's be real. Let's be the first to be real. And if I let go of the image of what it might be, I can open my heart more freely because I'm not afraid of not measuring up to some image.
Right.
I want to be true. I want to be right. I want to be real. I want to be good. And that helps me at least be motivated toward opening a little bit more easily or more early.
Yeah.
Because I just want, what is true? What's real? What does
Some
my heart
level
need?
of pragmatism with regard to who you share. Because not everybody's going to take the information that you share and your authenticity and do good with it.
True.
You have to know where the safe places are.
And that is part of guarding.
True. That is true.
Well, not everyone's invested in what's best for you.
Right.
Most people are using other people. Like really, what can I get from you for me? But the people that you want to share the true with are people that have shown to some degree they care deeply about you.
Yeah.
And want to see your trajectory,
Yeah.
shine.
Yeah. Guard your heart.